It began when we realized that animals could carry us from place to place. For centuries, we used this mobility to expand our horizons, while still seeking better ways to travel. We harnessed the power of steam and moved toward replacing animals with engines. The internal combustion engine and the discovery of vast pools of oil deep in the earth brought us closer to a revolution in individual transport. In 1886, two vehicles were unveiled only months apart by German engineers Karl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler. The automobile was born, and life would never again be the same. The Mercedes Benz story is a story of quality, a story of a standard of excellence that began more than a century ago with the words of Gottlieb Daimler. Das Beste, oder nichts. The best or nothing. Daimler was first to see the wide variety of uses for the gasoline-burning internal combustion engine. The success of his first vehicle, a motorcycle, convinced him that by installing his engine in a carriage, he could finally replace the horse. At the same time, Karl Benz, unaware of the work being done by Daimler only 60 miles away, was developing his own vehicle. But while Daimler was installing his engine in a carriage, Benz was creating the world's first automobile from scratch. It was successfully driven in late 1885 and patented on January 29, 1886, which is the birthday of the automobile. Daimler's vehicle made its appearance a few months later. Daimler marketed his engines around the world and was especially successful in France, where the automobile caught on quickly. It was in France in 1894 that the first automobile race was held. The 78-mile event from Paris to Rouen attracted both steam and gasoline-driven vehicles and was the first of many open-road competitions that helped establish the practicality of the automobile. A Peugeot and a Panhard, both with Daimler engines, shared first prize. While Daimler sought new uses for his engines, Karl Benz concentrated on building cars. He was soon a dominant force in the world's infant auto industry. He considered this Victoria a perfected car. And the Velo became the world's first mass-produced automobile when Benz turned out 62 of them in 1894. By 1900, Karl Benz had built 2,000 cars and was the world's leading manufacturer. At the turn of the century, automobiles were, to a great extent, still playthings for the wealthy, and the annual Nice Automobile Week held on the Riviera late each winter gave them an opportunity to show off their vehicles. Austrian entrepreneur Emil Jelinek, who lived in Nice, was an enthusiast who liked power and speed. And he agreed to purchase 36 cars from the Daimler company if they would build a model that could compete in and win the Nice speed tests. Such a large order gave Jelinek certain prerogatives, one of which was to have the new car named after his daughter, Mercedes. Innovative and technically brilliant, the Mercedes dominated events at Nice and was hailed as the car of the day after tomorrow. We had entered the Mercedes era. To the public, racing continued to be the proving ground for the automobile. And the race of races during the early years of the century was the Grand Prix of the Automobile Club of France. At the 1908 Grand Prix in Dieppe, Christian Lautenschlager drove his Mercedes to victory while averaging 69 miles per hour. Benz cars finished second and third. In 1914, a 1-2-3 Mercedes sweep was greeted by silence from the French spectators as relations between the two countries were growing steadily worse. A month later, Europe was at war. When peace returned, there was a dizzying array of cars to choose from in every country. Mass production, already established in the United States, began to spread across Europe. In a Germany that lay in financial ruin, there were 86 automobile manufacturers, although few persons could even think of owning a car. For two giants of the industry, Daimler and Benz, the road to survival led to amalgamation, which was completed in 1926. The origin of the three-pointed star is clouded by time. Some say it began as Gottlieb Daimler's lucky star. Others say it represented travel on land, sea, and air. It now combined with the Benz wreath, and the name Mercedes Benz appeared on a growing line of cars. Cars that rolled off the production lines in the 1930s allowed Daimler-Benz to survive this difficult period and remain a major automotive influence. While the decade began with the introduction of a moderately priced car that featured a revolutionary four-wheel independent suspension, cars bearing the Mercedes-Benz symbol continued to represent the ultimate in power, luxury, and quality. Racing added luster to the Mercedes-Benz name as Rudolf Caracciola, Hermann Long, Manfred von Brauchitsch, and others drove the legendary Silver Arrows to victory after victory. The 1930s saw another major achievement with the development of the world's first series production diesel passenger car. But the company's automotive progress came to a halt as Europe was once again plunged into war. On the day the conflict ended, Daimler-Benz had practically ceased to exist. But from the rubble would come a remarkable period of recovery and growth. In a world anxious to get back to the business of living, automobiles were much in demand, and Daimler-Benz set about doing what it did best, producing fine cars. By the early 1950s, new models were ready for the marketplace. To help re-establish the Mercedes Benz name, the company returned to racing. A new generation of Mercedes drivers, led by the legendary Juan Manuel Fangio and including Sterling Moss and Carl Kling, continued the winning tradition. During the decades that followed, quality was the Daimler-Benz watchword, and the three-pointed star once again represented the best in automotive technology. As the demand for Mercedes passenger cars, commercial vehicles of all sizes and shapes, and industrial engines grew, so too did Daimler-Benz, spreading its production, sales, and service network throughout the world. From only 214 cars built in 1946, the numbers have grown dramatically. This year, more than 500,000 will roll off the assembly lines. The lessons of a century go into the making of every car, truck, and bus. The same hard work and attention to detail that started it all 100 years ago continue to make a Mercedes Benz the world's most sought-after vehicle. As we enter our second century, we do so guided by the words of Gottlieb Daimler, words that best explain our standards. Das Beste, oder nichts, the best or nothing.